All right, welcome to Here for the Horses. Glad you're here for the horses. We have a jam-packed day today. I'm going to give you, happy Mother's Day for those of you that applies to. Happy Mother's Day. We are going to go over homework. We are going to go over a couple. I'm going to remind you of some specials that I have going on for Mother's Day if you're interested. And then we're going to go over some videos. So it's going to be fun. All right, let me start off by showing you cute videos, which is how I like to start while people are funneling in. This one was hilarious. Can you guys see this? It says how my quarter horse enters, how my thoroughbred enters. So funny. Blam! I like the way the thoroughbred does it. So cool. And then let me show you this one, Bob. Bob got caught. Jumped back into his pen and then ran off. So he was out in the garden. Who knows how long? That's not where he's supposed to be. Clears that fence like a deer and then goes like, it just amazes me how people have horses like this and are able to keep them in. Look at this horse, just clear this, like didn't even think about it. Just boop, right out. So he does whatever he wants. And I think they've just accepted that. So I think that's funny. I'm so glad. I mean, my border horse that I have she's a little nuisance because she opens doors and stuff. So I had to like baby lock everything. But at least they don't jump out because I would be real nervous about that. Too many cars around here. Okay. Let's see. Homework for this week. Are we ready?
Yep.
It's in two different places. Okay, so I was going to show that to you. Because I want to make sure that you see it. Here we go. Okay. It's in two different places. So point of hip and the glutes. Point of hip and the glutes. Okay. So point of hip is where you take your hand and you put it like this and you stick it on the point of hip. Okay. You should be able to locate your horse's point of hip. And grab this real quick. Hold on. Okay. I have random stuff sitting around on this table. Okay. So the point of hip is this. Right there. You should be able to palpate that. Okay. You should be able to palpate that. And it is pretty wide. It is pretty big. It's about this long. Okay. So you should, so when I do this, it fits perfectly. And then I try to kind of get my fingers, I don't want them too spread apart because the point of hip is a fascia release. Okay, you're releasing the fascia. You're not doing work on the muscles unless you feel something specifically. So you're just putting your hand around the point of hip and waiting. You wait. And if your horse is tight there, what you're going to feel is that area just like, it just releases. It just gets soft all of a sudden. Your hand will actually sink in and you'll feel that point of hip more. It's really cool. So I do this at the clinics, my 2-day clinics. And it's funny, you hear people go, oh my gosh. They always say that. Oh my gosh. Okay, because you feel it give. It goes from just feeling normal and then all of a sudden your hands sink in. So that's the point of hip. And then the glutes, I have a video. The first thing you're going to do is the glute assessment. And I have found that people struggle with that. So again, you're finding the point of hip. That's why I'm doing these together. And you put your fingers right above it and you make it jiggle. And this is the part that for some reason is hard to do. So you're going to press in and make it jiggle, kind of like you're trying to put waves through a waterbed, for those of you who know what a waterbed is. Okay. So you're trying to put waves through, or like, what would be another, like a thick water balloon. You're trying to make ripples through the glute. And if the glute is tight, it will. So if we're going to look at this one, do you see how the glutes go up here? That's glute. This is where you're going to have your fingers. This is the flank where my pen is. Okay. So if this is tight, if the back is tight, this part will not move. When you do the assessment, the entire area should move all the way up to here, the entire back. If it stops at the flank, then those glutes need some work. Okay, and that's what we're going to loosen up. Oh, yeah, let me stop share. Okay, so I'll show that one more time. The glutes go all the way up to here. So when you do that assessment where your fingers are here and you're trying to make that kind of jiggle, this should all jiggle also as one big piece. All that should jiggle. If it stops and does not jiggle forward, your back is stuck. Your back's tight. Okay? And I have that in the video. And then the other thing I was going to show you, I hope you guys are watching the videos before you go do this stuff, because it's just going to help you. But they're in two different places. So let me pull that up real quick. Here we go. You have to find the one that we're doing. This is the glute. So what we're finishing up is right here. Can everyone see that? This is the clinic. Okay. We're finishing up. We did the spine and the ribs this week. We're finishing up the point of hip release. Okay. And then I want you to skip over the hind legs. Go to the hind end and tail and click on the glutes. This is the glute video. Okay. And this is the section I'm talking about where I want you to do that. Here, let's watch it.
Show you this, because you guys have been doing a great job pounding on the neck, and I've seen some tight glutes on some horses, so let's address that. So the first thing I'm going to do is I want to do an assessment of the glutes. So what I like to do is I put my hands above the point of hip right here, okay, and then I'm going to bounce them. Now I want to see if those glutes bounce. Do they move? She's getting a little bit tight here.
Yep.
All the way up to here. So sometimes on some horses, you do this right above the point of hip there, and it stops right here. So that means that this area is really tight. So we want to address that if that's something that you run into. Okay. So she's slightly tight right there on this side.
Did you guys see how she kind of shut down? You can even see like the pattern is different. She's kind of shut down like right there. She doesn't go as far. I want this jiggling up here. Hold on. I'm like moving around too much. This should jiggle here. And you saw that that's like a triangle piece there. Okay. So you can see that this section moved, but this little section here didn't. So that was tight. Okay. The other thing with the assessment, I don't want your fingers coming off their body. So you're not doing this. It stays on and you push the glute. Okay. That's what I see most people doing. They kind of go, like that. Boop, up and down. And the horse is like, oh. So just keep your fingers on the glute and then press. Okay, you'll get it to jiggle. See if you can get a good photo of that and I'll let you know what I see for your videos. All right. So that's the homework. It should be pretty, and then the glute video goes into raking the glutes and stuff like that. So that'll work good. Yeah, they're in different sections. So just know that about your course. You're gonna have to look around for a little bit. Okay, Mother's Day specials, in case you did not see them, they're on my Facebook. You're getting 20% off my clinic. You guys already have it. Okay, clinic. 20% off any ebooks, and I have them listed on there. And then also 20% off my 1 hour video on telling the difference between release, relaxation, enjoyment, and concern. And also why it's important. I like that video that I did a lot because I showed each one. I used a different horse that pretty much did all of them. So I want you to know the difference between release, relaxation, enjoyment, and concern. Because just because they enjoy something, it doesn't mean they're going to release tension there. Just because they're relaxed, it does not mean they're releasing tension. Okay? Just because they're relaxed, it doesn't mean they enjoy it. They could just be relaxed. Okay? So the main difference is you want to be able to identify when you have released tension in your horse's body. So that's what that video is on. It's called How Horses Communicate, and that's 20% off. If you want it, it's on my my Facebook, my main one. So check it out. Okay. Any questions? Because I'm going to go through some videos. We had cool videos this week, and we had a ton of horses that loved this week's homework. It was wild. Okay. Let's look at, I'm going to look at Crockett actually first. Crockett was doing neck stuff, but I thought it was really interesting because Crockett was so clear about what he liked and what he didn't like. And it was interesting that, she was working on the same area pretty much, but he did not like certain things. So let me find it first and pull it up. But I want you to be able to kind of move in between different strokes, work on being able to do that. And then you guys, I have up that video also of Georgia, the little video I did on Georgia of the rib rake. Let's see, where did Crockett go? Oh, there he is. I don't know why I thought he was a chestnut. Wrong. Okay, let me let you guys in here. Okay, so here's Crockett.
Boy, rub. She said I did the other side also, but he was so fidgety, I stopped recording. As you can see, he has a habit of head tossing a lot. Okay, so that's an indicator of tension. Take a look.
I don't know why I just did that.
If you look at any of the videos that Sue puts up of Boone, he also is a head tosser. And we have narrowed it down to the rhomboid. In the neck.
So what's interesting about this horse is he clearly enjoys this. Right? So he's relaxed here. He's enjoying this. He's real quiet. He stands. I like how Cheryl, she's just doing little wiggles. She's doing little wiggles. And he's like, yeah, that's cool. I like it. Oh, that was the other thing that cracked me up. I think that's hilarious, but it's a bad habit after a while, but it's like they need to do that in order to release. Did you guys see that he released right after that? it's like he needed to prime it or something. He was like, ah. But he needed to do that. That's why they need to fidget sometimes. They need stuff to chew on, like a little pacifier. He starts doing it a little too often though, so I get after him after a little while. But sometimes they need that. Okay, so clearly you can see he is enjoying this just fine. So let's move on to show you when he changed his mind. Oh, he was good under, oh, no. Okay, so there's the head toss. He really, you can start seeing it now. He does a lot better with the jiggle. So he can handle a jiggle. So she's done the jiggle along the top and she did jiggle along the bottom. Let me see. Can't remember if the, oh yeah. Rubbing was. Okay. So he does not like the rubbing. You can also tell on this one that he's quite significantly tighter on the top than he is compared to the bottom, right? So this moves really well. That moves really well. That doesn't move as much. Okay. You can see the difference in the fidgetiness. He's not throwing his head too bad. I mean, I've seen worse. But he definitely doesn't like the rubbing. So what would the solution to that be? Oops, she's doing it right there. Cheating. What would the solution to that be?
Slapping or pounding him.
Yeah,
I would do.
pound. And with as thick as that horse is, I would do it pretty hard and I'd do it pretty fast. So he likes this. He does not like this. So I would go right into it. Bam, 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 bam. Okay, right into it. It'll be fun. Cheryl's gonna do some homework and send us a video, so we'll see how it goes. It doesn't always work, right? We're just trying to figure stuff out. But it was interesting that he enjoyed that along the top line so much, and then he just doesn't like this move, that friction. Now, what you'll find is that once the tension comes out, that he might be able to accept that, the friction. He might like that after the tension's gone, but while it's there, he's like, I don't like that. Okay. So you just have to find what they will like. And then lateral flexion, I think, can also help him out a lot. Okay. So I thought that was pretty cool how he just showed it really clear. And I'll have another example of that actually. I did want to show, you guys seen Rodder? Is that his name? Rodder? Yeah. Rodder, that horse, that quarter horse looked like a quarter horse, had Oh yeah, here it is. Let me pull these up. So Rotter was that big quarter horse that had one tricep that was really big and the other one was normal. So I had her, I mean, it just caught my attention. Then she submitted another video after I'd given her some things to do. Okay, not a huge change, but let's take a look at it real quick. Okay, so what I was saying was that this section, doesn't this look kind of, this is the first photo. Doesn't this look just kind of big, like balloony almost?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's around the elbow. Now these quarter horse, I don't know if this is a quarter horse, but it looks like a big, whatever it is big. Okay, they can get real bulky around their elbows. Okay, and so what happens is if this gets really tight, this knee doesn't go up very far. So if you watch the first video that she submitted, the knee kind of like came up, it stopped right around here, and then she kind of brought it up to that level. Okay, and I was like, oh, that's the elbow. And then I looked at the elbow, I was like, that looks really bulbous. Okay. And so the other side was not like that, and the other side came up easier also. So that was kind of cool. I gave her some homework, asked her to work on this elbow here. And then I also asked her to lift it up higher so that it kind of starts loosening that up and it gets a full range of motion. So she did that. The second video is awesome because that horse has no problem picking that leg up now, and it goes straight up. It looks super light, super loose. Okay, so that was a big improvement. But we also have a slight improvement. I was expecting this to look a little different, a little better, a little more different, to be honest with you. But we have a slight difference here. Now, it isn't necessarily the elbow. This is what I thought would go down once it loosens up. But do you know what changed that makes this look better? This section right here, it kind of got fluffier. It filled out a little more. So do you see this circle here, how it's sunk in? That's very tight. Okay, so this circle right here, this long tricep and then medial tricep and then a little bit of the scapula, whatever this is right here was really sunk in, and it made this area look bigger. Can everyone see that now? It's kind of mild. But then over here, it has loosened up a bit. So it still needs a little bit of work right in here. I had told her to work down here, but clearly it's this area that needs to loosen up. Okay, so that's why this shoulder just looks a little bit better and it's functioning a lot better. Okay, so slight visual difference, huge range of motion difference though. Okay, so anytime an area looks abnormally large, it isn't necessarily that area that the problem is in. And you see that a lot in the shoulders, a lot in the shoulders, a lot in the neck also, because if one area is big, it could mean that the other area is so tight, it has pulled in and then made that area that may or may not be big look bigger, okay? So that's just something to keep an eye out for. But if you want to go check out, it's on the right side. The right side range of motion of this horse was pretty stuck on the first video. And then this one, it's so much better. So much better. Okay. All right. That was Karen. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about, I've been bringing it up a lot lately, so you guys may have seen a video on this already, but it's fly season, okay? And flies are annoying. And so a lot of times people are just like, I don't know if that's a release. How do you tell the difference? I have one, you can't always be for sure, okay? But two, there's a couple ways that I tell. So, and I've talked about this. So when they're trying to swat at a fly, it's normally one time. They want to get it out of there. They hit it, and it could be with a tail. It can be with a stomp. It can be with them bringing their nose down and hitting their knee if it's on their knee. Or it could be coming around with their nose and hitting their side of their body. Okay. And then they're done. They don't do it again. With a release, it's more of like a rub, right? biting at the rib cage. It's not one bite, it's multiple bites at the rib cage. It's multiple bites on the leg. It's a rubbing. And then after that, they normally release a second time in a second way. So I normally say that it's a lick and chew after that, because normally they do the bigger release first and then the lick and chew after that. Okay. So that's one way that I can tell. All right. And I wanted to show you, it was funny on Candy's video, I said that, and then she switched sides, and then she right away did it, and I was like, that a girl, Candy. So let me share that with you guys so you can see it. She did it on cue like a good girl. Let's get rid of these. All right, there she is, perfect. And then I put a time marker on here.
Her message says spine and ribs, right side yawns, and there's intention in the
22.
same area on both sides.
So
of the
she's
surgery. Okay.
being bothered by the flies, just so you know. Okay.
Girl? Well, did you see that was a fly strike? Why? Nice. What a good model. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the other part of the release is it's normally followed up by something else. Now, normally it's followed up by a lick and chew, but Candy likes to go above and beyond. There's a release. There's a
Okay,
release.
you guys seeing it?
Okay.
So pretty big difference, I think, between those two. And again, you can't always tell,
Girl.
but let's watch again. The fly, like, and that's like, the fly stuff is more like it's annoying, right? Flies are annoying. We feel their pain.
Why? Nice. What a good model. Oh my gosh. Yeah, the other part of the release is it's normally followed.
See the difference? Release. Okay. So I think that's kind of cool to pay attention to, especially when they're being bugged by flies, you know, because you want to know where the tension's at. That's why we pay attention to the releases. You know, with your stoic horses that don't get a lot of work, or first time massaging a horse, they can hold their releases. So when they do release, you don't really know what it was from. It could have been from 10 minutes ago. Okay, because they've been holding it. But once you start massaging your horse consistently, they release went right on the spot. So you have a pretty darn good idea of where the tension is in your horse based off when they release. So that's why I think it's important to know when they're actually releasing. Okay. So if the flies are bad, you got to try to decipher between the two. So flies is, and you saw, she just went like, oh, flies. Oh, stupid flies. Oh, stomped her foot. Okay. And then when she released, it was like, it was fast, but she went chomp, 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 and then yawned. And then she went rub, 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 yawned. Okay. So it's normally followed up by a secondary release. Normally lick and chew, but felt good. Okay. So that was Candy. I did want to show Milagros. He was kind of cool. This was a cool video. So Milagros is a very mouthy horse. And my thing with mouthy horses is that when they get quiet, that's when you know. Oh, did I upload this yet? Probably not. That's when you know that, that's when you're on a spot. Okay, so let's watch him here. He's interesting. So she's doing the ribs on him. Let me share this. And he's just he's actually gotten a lot better since she's started this. I mean, I think it might be a face and head thing. I'm not quite sure, but let's watch him. So she's doing the ribs. Okay, so she's going from the front to the back. And this is kind of his norm, I think. He can be mouthier as a norm, but this is pretty darn good. So she went front to back and then she went top to bottom. And he's having emotions about that now. Because that's a little more intense for him. See? Okay, now she's going back to front, so she's getting more intense as we go. Now watch him change here. I'm going to counteract what I just said. Now she's going from bottom to top. Okay, he's got to leave the building. So he's a pretty awesome example of why I do the ribs in the order I do them in. Okay. Because for he has tight ribs. Okay. For the first one, he was okay. He was just kind of his normal, like his face was happy. He was kind of like, nah, you know, he's mouthy, so he's always kind of moving his mouth. He's kind of like looking around, but nothing crazy. That was for the first one. The second one, it's a little more intense. Okay. He was kind of the same way. So the first two he was cool with. The third one, he got real quiet, but it was him trying to maintain and like cope. Okay, so he was coping on the third one. He was right on that edge of like, oh gosh, this is a lot. So he kind of did the, I'm just going to ignore this and it'll go away. Okay, and then the fourth one is the most intense and he couldn't do it. He had to move, and then he got real nippy, right? Okay. So that's why I do them in that order. The first two, I think she did them the first two backwards. Yeah, but the first two don't really matter too much. I mean, I do circles and then I kind of rake and then I go front to back. And then I go back to front or up, or those two can kind of intermingle also. But you could see that the horse was like, you know, changing. So let's watch again and pay attention to that so that we can really see what I'm talking about. Okay, here we go. See how he's looking around? He's like, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, he couldn't handle too much more of that, so he had to walk around. Okay. So I think that's pretty interesting. What do you guys think I gave her for homework? What do you think I suggested to help him out? Yep. Slapping. Yeah, you gotta change it up when they start kind of, yeah, more breaks, Wanda, yeah. I was thinking that too. I would have probably taken a break after that third one where he went, right? Because he's like, I'm holding it together. I'm doing the best I can. So a break right there would have been great. And then coming in with some slaps and then trying that third one would have been cool. Just to see. You don't ever know. You don't ever know. Um, you know, flexing his ribs a little bit, maybe. You never know. Okay. So yeah, Liam.
Um, Mystic Night, the day I did her ribs, she was not settling. And so I actually started with the slaps on her ribs because just real light. She was all over the place. So even though you suggested doing that last, I'm like, yeah, today we got to do that first because, and I did video her that day, but I did it later in the week and she was pretty good with it. But that day she just, it was too much, whatever.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is you have to be flexible because Cheryl, well, I don't know if it was you that said could horses that are in season or in heat, yeah, have a problem with something because of that? Heck yeah, they can, right? So we need to be flexible. We also need to be able to see that that's kind of weird. That's kind of weird. So, anytime they're acting in a way that they're really struggling with something, see if there's something else that you can do or incorporate a break that can help them out. I just recently figured out that Georgia gets a sore kind of loin when she's in heat. That's one of the only ways I can tell that she's in heat. That's it. And I can't tell all the time. And then sometimes she'll come around and look at my right foot when I first mount her. And that's when she's in heat. And I just like recently, like this last year, figured that out. So you never know, but you want to be able to gather that information. Like they didn't like it on this day. Don't know why, Mystic Night, who knows? She did look like she was kind of like, I have it done. I don't know if I put it up yet, but yeah, so that's interesting. Just kind of make a note and then go back. And like you said, she was fine later. So who knows? Who knows? Yeah, Sue.
I massage a lot of different horses, and the thing about ribs that I've found this year is they have all the horses I work on have tighter ribs in the winter. And it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
so much and not so much, I know, I think I understand why, but it's just not a go-to area in the warmer weather. But in the winter, it's amazing. Almost every horse had issues.
Yeah, because it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Masterson talks about tension accumulates over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if they're tight in the winter, and he says that they don't release their own tension, and I don't particularly agree with that statement, because I don't think that they just accumulate tension and never release any on their own. But they can't release all of it. So, think about that some of that winter tension from the ribs being tight can go into summer. And then, they'll be more relaxed in the summer, they get worked more, so they can probably loosen it up that way, but then they go back into winter, and any tension that they didn't release can still keep carrying on. So it's amazing the amount of it was Zanzibar, wasn't it, that had huge releases, or was that Tariq? Zanzi?
Yeah, it was Zanzibar.
That was a lot.
Yeah, it sure was.
That was a lot of tension. And
Yeah,
he
yeah,
has a love-hate relationship with releasing tension. So I think
I
it's
know.
funny.
I know.
So you got a lot out of him though.
I
I'd go
know,
back and
yeah.
see what else
It
he
finally, yeah, it finally
has.
quit. It quit going in. So that's when I stopped.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. How was Tariq?
He didn't. He didn't show a lot of reaction though. I didn't bother to send that one in, but I
Yeah.
did do it.
Horses are
Mhm.
very different, so it's cool. It's cool when you have multiple horses, then you can try all this stuff on them and just learn all of it, because it's interesting. They're very different. Okay. So yeah, cool. Any questions on that? I thought those were cool videos. Oh yeah, I have Mystic Knight right here. Angus. Okay, and then Jennifer put out a video. Oh, here he is. Okay. You guys might have seen it. This horse called Dewey. He's got an interesting, I'll show it to you real quick. He's got an interesting thing I want to know about. Because he kept pushing his face on her. She's not here today, so I'll probably hold it off, but I wanted to show it to you guys just so you could see it. Yeah, here he is. Let me show you guys. And he got more intense the longer she worked on it. So his jaw, it was specific, I think it's specifically the jaw, but because she worked on just watch this horse's movement. And this horse shows you straight up. Yeah, this horse shows you straight up while you hold on to that halter. Because he's handling some of it, but when she hits a certain spot, it's the masseter. And it's when she goes, then she starts slapping him, which is so awesome. And look at how good he did. Then she rubbed and he hates it. Did you guys see that? Isn't that cool? And then she slaps and he's fine. And then she rubs and he hates it. So you can slap anywhere. You're going to obviously adjust for where you're slapping. And then look at this. This is interesting to me. He keeps going like, why'd you stop? And then, when she was doing it, he was like, stop, stop, stop. But look at what he's doing. I find that very interesting. I messaged her and I said, I want to know a little bit more about this horse. Because look at him. He's like, go ahead, get back to it, please. Look at, he's getting aggressive. Okay. So she continued doing that some more. But at one point in time, I'll see if I can find it. So the ears are fine. I thought that was interesting. Oh, never mind. Never mind. I lied. But she's being pretty aggressive on the ears and he's all right. See how good she's doing this? Okay, oh yeah, so watch this part.
Fine.
See that? See that right there? That was close. Yeah, that head throwing thing is interesting to me. Did you guys all see that? Yeah. So, yeah, that's interesting to me. But she just said something. She just sent me something here. Because I only got one of them. Okay, she says Dewey has been living with us since last fall. Don't know much about him. Quarter horse. Oh, I thought it was a thoroughbred for sure with that enjoyment of slapping. Maybe 19 to 20 years old. He appears to have had some sort of accident in the past. At the base of his neck, shoulder on his right, he has has a dent. Okay. He also doesn't seem to see very well out of his right eye. Oh, maybe that's why. Does not stand well for the farrier. Okay. Interesting. Okay. So I don't know. I'd be curious to see, I have a couple questions about that head throwing thing. Is it always to the right? Okay. If it's always to the right and he doesn't see well out of that right eye, I would be looking for some answers. Because he shouldn't throw it if he doesn't see well out of it, but maybe there's some sort of damage or something. I don't know. And then that masseter was tight. He didn't really like that. So I'd try to find out what's up with the masseter, but she has those 3 videos in my queue, so I'll take a look at those and then get those out if you guys want to watch that. I'm super curious about that horse. Looks like he's pretty tight. He does look like he's older. And I bet he's going to get a ton of release if she starts working on him a lot because he looks like he needs it. So I saw his neck and it was kind of like, so that would be fun to work on him and to see if you can get any of those things to stop, like that head throwing thing was that's dangerous one. So she needs to be careful. And she was, but just that he throws it even when she's not standing there. So, always a hand on the halter and you never know when they're going to do that. And they're faster than you think. And your face never wins. So that's why I harp on it because it only takes once to get popped in the face with a horse face bone. It sucks. Okay. Okay, so we have our assignments. We're going to do the point of hip. So make sure you hold that for long enough. Okay. Takes a couple minutes sometimes. Use it as a time to, just quiet yourself and focus on your breathing. Okay, focus on your breathing. See if that influences your horse. And then also glute assessment. Try not to bounce off their butt. Try to like push, like a waterbed sort of. I'll do it on a couple different horses. And then also you'll see the glute rake and pound. Okay. All right, any questions? That's all I have. All right, good, good, good. Some of you guys have extra homework, so feel free to shoot that in whenever you get it done. Okay? All right, thanks guys. Have a good one. Happy Mother's Day. Bye.